So Hare Krishna Prabhu is Matagis. Welcome all of you. Thank you for joining and keeping the appointment with Krishna today for this Bhagavad-gītā session. So today we'll be reciting and discussing two verses from Bhagavad-gītā second chapter, 62 and 63. So let us start with 62. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Pajayate Sanga Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodho Vijayate. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops. And from lust, anger arises. Jai Srila Prabhupada. This is 63rd verse. Krodhat bhavati sammoha sammohat smriti vipramaha smriti bhramshat buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. From anger, complete delusion arises. And from delusion, bewilderment of memory. So when memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material whirlpool. Jai Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So two really very, very important verses. So let us see what we can learn from these two verses. So this verse, especially 2.62, is very, very beautiful. Krishna says, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha. First, the dhyan starts. That is, we meditate on Vishayas. That is, sense gratificatory things. We always meditate on sense gratificatory things, right? So as soon as you are free, then you are not chanting, you are not reading Bhagavatam. But the mind cannot be vacant, right? So always attached to think about something. So as soon as you don't chant or read Bhagavad-gītā Bhagavatam, your mind starts thinking, I want this, I want this. And the greatest desire is, I want to marry. And we catch it. Just for example, I want to marry, I want to marry. Then he decides, I must marry. This is Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa. He's completely meditating on this point. So many desires come and go. But the desire on which you meditate, it catches you. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa Sangas Teshu Upajayate. And then there is some Sangha with it. Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha. Oh yes, now I have to decide to marry. So as soon as he decides to marry, then maybe this American girl is one is good. This is bad, that is good. Oh, this European is very good. Oh, this Australian is not good. Or Indian. So he has all the list of the girls and meditates upon them instead of meditating on Krishna. And in turn, on the other side, the girls also is also meditating on the same. So this is how meditation gives you association, Sangha. And then Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha. Acute desire is there. I must do this, I must do this. And Kamat Krodha Vijayate. If there is any impediment or somebody else comes and marries that girl whom you are meditating on, he becomes completely upset. Or the whole day is completely morose. Hey, don't talk with me. I am completely morose. This is Krodha. So these are the various stages. So first, there is meditation. Then there is a bit of association. Then there is acute desire, kama. And then if there is impediment, then Krodha is there. See, in Krodha, if you are completely fortunate, we may come across some devotee or some books of Srila Prabhupada. And from this stage, we divert ourselves. No doubt, we are upset. Krodha is there, right? But because we got some jerk from this life, we come to the temple, and we hear some wonderful instructions, or from Srila Prabhupada's books, or some devotee comes, he explains to us, you are not this body, your soul, you have nothing to do with these things. And then we forget the krodha. Then we elevate ourselves from there. But if you don't elevate, krodhat bhavati sammoha, you are completely bewildered. See, if you go to the next stage, then after krodha, you are completely illusioned. Sammohat smriti vipramaha. As soon as you are in illusion, you forget about yourself completely. Smriti vibramaha. Smriti bramshat buddhi nasho. And it will destroy your intelligence. As soon as you are your smriti vibramaha, buddhi nasha, loss of intelligence, your intelligence completely finished. Buddhi nasha pranashyati. Then you fall into the ditch. Then the very nice life becomes completely hellish life. So these are the various eight stages to be remembered from these two verses. And you can elevate yourself from the krodha stage. And then you become a nice devotee. See, as soon as you learn to tolerate, you become a very nice devotee. Just tolerance, titikshava, is the word Krishna gives us. See, we can't do anything else. You please tolerate always. The more you tolerate, the more you become highly elevated and your life becomes blissful. But as soon as you forget to tolerate, then you glide down more and more till you are completely finished. So this is the instruction of Bhagavad-gītā. See, definitely we are meditating. We meditate on something. See, there are innumerable desires. Everybody has. There is nothing wrong with the desires. If there are no desires, then there is surprise. So these desires are going to be there. But we don't catch them as devotees. That is the first stage. If we start meditating on the desires, then there is entanglement. Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad-gītā completely advises us to ignore all these things. It is much beneficial to try with a honest means to fulfill our desires. If you are elevated, then you carry Krishna with you anywhere, whether you are in India, America, Australia, London, wherever you are. Any situation, you are completely safe because you are carrying Krishna with you. Krishna, Krishna, Krishneti, Yomam Smarti Nitisha. There's a very nice verse in the Vedas. You should remember, see, this is a very Krishna, Krishna, Krishneti. This is the first line, right? Krishna, Krishna, Krishneti, Yomam Smarti Nitisha. That means those who remember me always, nothing else. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So Krishna, Krishna, Krishneti, Yomam Smarti Nitisha, Jalam Bitva Yatha Padma, Narkadapi, Udaram Yaham. So Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Those who always remember Krishna. Yomam Smarati Nityasha. What happens to them? Jalam Bitva Yatha Padma, Narkadapi, Uddharamyaham. Jalam Bitva means there is muddy water in the lake. But from the muddy water, a beautiful lotus flower comes out. Water is completely muddy. We cannot even touch that. But beautiful lotus flower comes out. So like that, Narakadapi Udharamyaham. So our life may be hellish, but we are immediately picked up by the Harinam. That's why we love chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. Jai Shri Prabhupada. So that is a very. So we should be like the lotus flower. It is there in the muddy water, no, but still it doesn't get affected. See, it is very interesting to note that attachment is a problem wherever we go. Attachment. So remember, we should not be attached. Right? In computers also, right? Attachment means virus, difficulty. We attach some documents, right? So being the computer field, we speak this word attachment so many times to refer to the files and documents we send across to others via email. But due to our mundane consciousness, it never occurred that attachment means difficulty. That's why Krishna rightly puts attachment as the beginning of all the problems in 2.62. Vyayatosh, right? But attachment is the most wrongly understood word in this world. As soon as we hear the phrase, we should not be attached, we tend to think that we should leave everything. We should be callous to everyone and everything happening around us and so on. But the real problem is not with the object or the attachment, but with our mentality that the particular object or person is meant for my enjoyment. So when someone praises us or be close with us, we become attached to them, right? But when the same person goes with someone else, we become callous to them or hate them. So this does not help us develop genuine loving feelings to other living entities or accept contrasting situations as they are. So it's a very nice quote from one of Srila Prabhupada's personal servant. He says, Srila Prabhupada's opulence of renunciation and austerity were evidenced by his acceptance of whatever Krishna provided or did not provide. If his divine grace had a servant or not, it didn't matter. He never asked anything for himself. Srila Prabhupada once said that an attached person pretends to be detached. An attached person pretends to be detached, but a detached individual acts in a considerate, loving manner. And he said, I saw Srila Prabhupada demonstrate this in his daily life. Srila Prabhupada treated all of us so lovingly, although he was completely detached. So whatever Krishna does is for our good only. So our only job is to obey Krishna and accept with pleasure whatever he provides us. See, during the time of when the Rajkot ISKCON temple was being built, my Guru Maharaj used to, even one of the classes, he said, now we are trying hard to build this temple in Rajkot. Suppose, he said, suppose if we do not get enough Lakshmi or donation to build the temple, then we will build only the foundation and whatever else we can do with the current available donations. And then do nice kirtans on the foundation. And he said, very important point, these temples, the Govinda restaurants, communities, etc., are all a manifestation of our bhakti, not our wealth or other mundane possessions. So it is indeed possible to have a loving and compassionate dealings with everyone around us. And at the same time, be detached by always seeing Krishna in everybody's heart and Krishna's hand in everything happening around us. So these two verses, 62 and 63, Dhyayato Vishyampamsan and Krodhat Bhavati. So this, we saw the negative side, right? Actually, this verse must be translated into positive. How is it possible? How does the verse start? The verse starts while contemplating on the object of the senses. So my Guru Maharaj said, while contemplating on the words of Bhagavatam, the devotee develops attachment for Bhagavatam. So this is the practical application of the verse. So the secret is actually in the verse. So Bhagavad-gītā tells that when we contemplate on the object of the senses, we develop attachment for them. So if you want to develop attachment for Bhagavatam and Bhagavad-gītā and Krishna, just please contemplate on Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-gītā and Krishna as the object of the senses. So this is the 5-minute difference between the advancing devotee and a struggling devotee. If you're objecting to Krishna, you are advancing devotee. Otherwise, struggling devotee. So what is the object of our senses? Is it Urvashi or is it Krishna? Is it Pururava or is it Bhagavatam? So the same two verses, just change them. So when you develop attachment for Bhagavatam, lust will fly out of the window and true love is settled in the heart. See the difference? And in Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna tells us that when there is lust, there will be anger. This is because lust means we cannot satisfy our desires, so we get angry. So when anger comes from lust, we become frustrated. When there is frustration, there is delusion. When there is delusion, there is bewilderment of memory. We forget what we are. We forget where we are and we just counteract. And when someone insults us, we counteract. See, there is one story about Buddha. Buddha was walking on the road, and suddenly, what happened? One man came up to Buddha and said, "Whatever you are talking is nonsense. Whatever you are preaching is nonsense. Whatever you say, you do not practice." He insulted Buddha like anything. He then inquired, "What do you have to say now?" Buddha looked at him and asked him, "When someone buys and gives a gift for another person, and if that person rejects the gift, whose property is the gift?" The man thought about it. First, he thought it is a funny question from a man whom he had just attacked. Then he thought about the answer. If someone I am giving a gift to and he does not want it, it still remains my property. So Buddha smiled and said, You wanted you want to transfer your insult to me. That is very nice. But I do not want your insult. I do not want to counteract. So to whom does the insult belong to now? It belongs to the man who started the insult. So Buddha said, You keep the insult and let me be peaceful. So this is how we escape from I and mine. No counteraction. The moment we counteract the material energy, we will lose. The moment a devotee says something that has nothing to do with Krishna, we will lose. Our relationship will go out of the window. So we tolerate like anything. As devotee, we have to tolerate. We have to tolerate. We have to do only two things in spiritual life. We adjust and we tolerate. We tolerate and adjust. The whole life is about that. In any relationships. So this is the expert way in which we stop I and mine. See, I and mine is much deeper than just saying, this is not mine. It is much deeper. So, whose property is this body? This I and mine, no, begin to manifest by us trying to take an object, exploit it for enjoyment. And when we cannot get that object, we become frustrated. This is what in Bhagavatam, Aila Gita is all about. In Aila Gita, the story begins as part of a very powerful point. The principle of attraction between one object of enjoyment and another object of enjoyment. See, in this material world, this is known as man and woman. But actually speaking, it can happen anywhere. This is just an attraction between us and an object of our desire. That is what Aila Gita is about. See, I'll just say in short because time is. So in Aila Gita, we read that Urvashi was an Apsara. And she was very famous for being very beautiful and very great in character. So when she was in the court of Indra, one day Narada Muni comes and he speaks to Indra and praises the great king known as Pururava. Now Narada Muni says that King Pururava has great noble qualities. He has great wealth. He is very handsome. He is fighting always for the Devas. And that is how powerful he is. So then Narada Muni ends by saying, there is no other person more powerful, no other person who has achieved more than Pururava. Just by hearing about Pururava, Urvashi becomes very, very attracted to him. And she thinks that I must actually have such a man of noble quality. I must have him as my husband. So she approaches Pururava and she praises him. Pururava becomes instantly attracted to her. Not only because she is praising him, which is often why we become very happy with people, right? But also because he sees her as an object who can fulfill his desire. So he approaches her immediately and asks her name. He praises her beauty and he says, Please marry me. Urvashi immediately says, My dear king, which woman in this world will not be happy enough not to actually get a man like you? So immediately, both parties became very attracted to each other and they decide that they will spend the rest of their lives together. This is how all our getting together begins. And when we come together, we become very happy, isn't it? Husband and wife, particularly. First year is always honeymoon. You all know that. After that, there is no moon, there is no honey. From that, it all becomes very salty, pungent, very bitter, and honey becomes history. So Urvashi and Purvara was the original soap opera compared to all others because It teaches us a very important point, that when two people come because they think that they can enjoy from each other, in the starting point, the relationship is very sweet. So Bhagavatam says, for years, Pururava and Urvashi enjoyed. See, the story of Pururava and Urvashi is not for other people, but it's all for all of us. That is why Bhagavatam speaks about it. The question comes back to what Pururava asked. Whose property is this body? Now, Pururava has come to the end of his journey. It's like a long story, but the cutting it short. He is a frustrated man. Because throughout he has been, both of them enjoyed. He's a lonely man, but now something has come to his heart as he sat down. What is that? Renunciation. Why? Very simple. He got slapped over again and again. Face is black and blue. Nowhere to turn. Better start becoming yogi. Because bhogi days are over and now he must become yogi. Otherwise, he cannot become bhakta. So this is the way Maya adjusts and tolerates us. She will adjust us in such a way that the slaps will come. See, when the slaps come on your faces, do not transfer the slaps to others. Then you lose. Accept the slaps and sit down and contemplate seriously about your condition. Gajendra contemplated after thousands of 1,000 years of fighting with the crocodile. See, you and I do not have 1,000 years to contemplate. Today, after this Bhagavad-gītā, we may leave this world. Better we contemplate now about our condition. So Pururava sat down and he said, for so many years I enjoyed bodily pleasures. So many years I tried to enjoy, but I was not satisfied by the enjoyment. Just like you pour more and more ghee into the fire, thinking that the ghee will douse the fire, more and more I tried to enjoy with Urvashi. More I tried, more frustrated I became. So the more you try to exploit a devotee, the more you try to put yourself above others, the more frustrated you will become. When you are frustrated in your life, it is because you are exploiting what is given to you by Krishna. Please understand it. When you are frustrated in life, that is because you are exploiting what is given to you by Krishna. If you renounce that, you will become peaceful. Such an amazing formula to be free of frustration. So Pururava says, what is the use of all the big education, all the great austerities, all the renunciation? What is the use of studying revealed scriptures, Bhagavad-gītā and Bhagavatam, and living in solitude and silence? If after all that, the mind is stolen by the object of one's desire, what is the use? See, we may read Bhagavatam till the cows come home. We may write so many shlokas and study them, but tomorrow if we cannot walk away from the object of our desire, then what is the point of all that? This we should ask ourselves very seriously. So what is the value of this human body? This is the key now. What is the value? How can I blame Urvashi for my trouble? Pururava is telling. So when you renounce, you stop blaming others. When you renounce, you blame yourself. It is only when you attach, you will blame everyone else. It is a very important point. So those who blame others, they are not renounced. But those who look to themselves and say, it is my fault, it ends there. They become renounced. See, Buddha never contracted. He became completely renounced. He took the insult and he said, this is your gift, you keep it. I do not want it. So when we are also insulted by devotees or by so-called devotees, we should not insult back. We should not behave in a counteractive fashion. We should absorb, tolerate, adjust, and we become renounced. We become free. The problem is that the ego comes in the way and we say, he said that something. Now you must take a stand. This is my stand. What stand you have? Your only stand is you are supposed to be the servant of the servant of the servant. Servant does not have a stand. Servant bows and he does not stand. So Pururava then says, why am I to blame Urvashi? It is my fault. I was attached to my body and everything that gave enjoyment to my body. I was attached only to that. I wanted for myself. And when I did not get it, I became like a madman. So I must stop this. So I will also stop this class today. Thank you very much, Mataji, for this opportunity to glorify the Lord. Hare Krishna with these wonderful verses from Bhagavad-gītā. Hare Krishna. Grantha Srimad Bhagavad-gītā ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam. Hare Krishna to everybody assembled.
Hare Krishna.